Our next speaker, not technically or even in reality, a scientist. He's a science writer. He's done some blogging for Scientific American. He's also writing for a brand new magazine that's getting ready to launch in maybe October called Walter Magazine that's about Raleigh, as a matter of fact. And he likes to write about the intersection of science and reality. In fact, he also has a number of books. His last book was On the Grid. Anyone familiar by any chance? Very cool. Very cool. And what he's going to come talk to us today is about crowdsourcing and data gathering, and in particular about a certain crowdsourcing app that I'll let him tell you about. So please welcome Scott Huler.
Hi. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm not actually really even a science writer. I just pretend to be one on the internet. I did my last book on the grid, on infrastructure and all that kind of stuff. And I found the very beginning of crowdsourcing, which is a really interesting thing. Until we have the smart grid, right, where everything knows everything and all that, like the electrical system runs itself, we use this really cool method. The utilities use an awesome method for understanding where there's like a neighborhood power outage. They have these specially trained mammals that when the power goes down, the mammals press a bunch of buttons, and that makes a bell ring at the electric utility, which is to say they wait to hear from us to say, hey, the electricity's out. And that's how they know that the electricity is out. Everybody thinks, there's a big board somewhere. No, the way they find out is we call them, hopefully with cell phones that are already plugged in, which is, because like if you have VoIP, it's over. You can't talk to anybody. But at any rate, so that was sort of the origin of crowdsourcing, and I got interested through doing that book in GIS, Geographic Information Systems. Everybody understands those, which are like maps, only they put information in maps. They make a map tell you something other than just a two-dimensional reality. The great example of GIS is, say, the sewer system. They'll have a map of all their pipes, but you can click on every pipe and it will tell you what kind of pipe it is and how big it is and when it was last serviced and where the fire hydrants are and what the surface is above it, whether it's asphalt or concrete or it runs underneath ground or something like that. So you start to have information, actionable information. They're starting to try to make maps more valuable to you. And so many of our apps that we download on these smartphones now use kind of crowdsourcing, and as we know, it's getting smarter and smarter and smarter. And so I recently have been talking to a company about a traffic app, which is sort of a perfect application of crowdsourcing, because everybody wants the same thing, right? Everybody has a GPS system that tells you, okay, turn left here and turn right there, and you drive into a pond or whatever, but it tells you how to get somewhere. And so the first thing that they figured out is, wait, we could do better than this. And we can get information from law enforcement. We can get information from, let's see, I wrote some of them down. We could get information from civic traffic control. We could get information from construction. We could get information from historic traffic patterns. So then they could start predicting where you should go and when and trying to give you the best route from somewhere. And then some of the apps have started even giving you the opportunity to enter information, right? You can tell them, stop, pull over to the side of the road, because nobody would ever use a smartphone while you're driving, obviously. So you would say, okay, there's an accident, or I saw a police car or something going on. And I was talking to the people behind this app called Waze. Does anybody here use that? And it's this miracle of interactivity where when you turn on the app on your smartphone, it starts tracking you. And so not only does it know where you are, but it knows how fast you're going. And so if you're going someplace, if you're on a highway, it knows you're on the highway. And if you're on the highway and you're going 20 miles an hour, it's figuring something out. It says, okay, uh-oh. And then that highway turns yellow and it starts telling people to get off the highway. More than that, it will, if you get in your car at 8 in the morning, 3 days in a row, and you go in the same general direction and go from one place and go to the next place, it figures out you're going to work. And then the next day you do it and it says, are you going to work now? And you say, yeah. and off you go. And then it figures out over the course of time your 3 basic ways to work. In fact, if it suggests several ways to you and you go a different way, it will ask you, is that a better way? And then it includes that, and there's possibilities for people who live near you. But then it starts figuring out, it kind of takes it to this metadata level where if you go to drive, you get in your car at 8 o'clock one morning and you drive a different way, well then it'll start figuring, why is he going to work a different way? And then it starts looking at the other traffic. So it is so smart. It's really amazing what they're doing. And yes, of course, what they're doing is then they're going to try to sell you, give you coupons for oil changes or tell you where the coffee is, or as Carl said, it's going to, 20 minutes after you bought your coffee, it's going to tell you where a bathroom is. And seriously, that's what it wants to be doing. And when I asked them about walking and about transit, you know, of course, we're against those things in the United States, but there are similar apps about transit and similar apps about walking, and you know it's just minutes from now. What time is it? You know, in an hour and a half, they'll all have been converged, and there's going to be this kind of smart skin where all of this crowdsourcing, we're going to know so much about each other that we'll be able to do anything that we need to, and we'll never be able to get away. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yes, Scott Huler. Thank you, Scott. So if I activate it and every day at the same time I use the restroom and I spend 10 minutes in there, and then the next day, yeah, does it know what I'm doing in there? Inappropriate humor for this situation. But anyway, so pretty interesting so far, yes? All right. Well, I feel like I had something to tell you. Yes, so, you know, a lot of times at these presentations, we then have Q&A. We're not going to have like a formal question and answer period, but except for Scott, because he's babysitting and has to go home, everyone else will be around, and we hope you'll feel free to engage our scientists one-on-one. They're sitting in various places throughout the room, so take advantage of that. They'd be happy to tell you more since they're only giving such brief presentations. You can have more drinks, in fact. That's right. When the program's done, you don't have to leave. You can stick around, tweet some more, drink some more,